And welcome into another episode of Dan D'Antoni Sports. My name is Dan Snyder, joined tonight by our usual group, Dan O'Shea, Tony Casper, Dan Beebe. Guys, how are you doing tonight?
Great, other than the fact that you need to trim that down because I almost fell asleep.
Oh, man. Thank you for the feedback. But we've got more than just our usual cast of misfits. We also have returning for the first time in quite a while, the one, the only, Mr. Scott Grimes. Scott, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on, guys. It's been a while, and I'm happy to be a part of this. So let's get the show on the road.
We are happy to have you to be part of this. Now, the reason I asked you to come on, Scott, is because basically tonight's episode is stolen from your concept. For those of you who don't know, Scott used to do a podcast called Run the Point podcast, and he would have this segment called Brack That Thing Up Challenge. So what that would be is a bracket from everything from best sports movies to best music, different categories, and you would go through team by team or movie by movie or whatever it was, and you would do a single elimination style bracket. So we're going to do that tonight. What we're talking about is the greatest of all times. So anyone that has been considered a GOAT, greatest of all time, for the most part, they're on this bracket, and we will go matchup by matchup, and we will eliminate one person each matchup until we get to the final two, and we will say who we think is the hands down greatest of the greatest of all times.
Wait a minute, that's how brackets work?
Yeah, I mean, it has been a while since sports have been on, so just wanted to break it down for everybody. So we didn't have...
No wonder I've been fucking up the NCAA pool for years.
Yeah, we didn't have a March Madness this year. So let's get this show on the road. I do want to point out that this bracket will be flawed because I did not do a 1 through 16 ranking. What I did is try to match everyone up by sport because I don't think it would be fair to have a finals, let's just use an example, of Michael Jordan and LeBron James. Because how can you be the greatest of all time or the runner-up greatest of all time if you weren't even the greatest in your own sport?
I mean, if that's how we're going to end up, I'll just give you my answer right now and I can fucking leave.
Wait till you hear the matchups. I got some pretty intriguing matchups.
I'm sure you do, but if we end up with LeBron and MJ, I'll just tell you.
Well, I'm telling you right now, they will not end up in the finals against each other. So, we have two sides. We have an individual sports side, and we have a team sports side. So, we'll start with our team sports side first, and we'll get right into probably the biggest debate. We'll go right to it. Your first matchup, Michael Jordan versus LeBron James.
MJ. All right, I'm done. I'll see you. It was nice talking to all of you. I mean, it was a pleasure. Scott, thanks for showing up. We're done with it.
Thanks for coming in.
Let's start this discussion. Michael Jordan, LeBron James.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to let Chaz respond to me after all of you respond.
So, LeBron James is the closest thing in the modern... Well, I don't want to say modern because technically modern encompasses Michael Jordan. But in our generation's basketball, LeBron James is the closest thing that we have to Michael Jordan in terms of dominance, in terms of ability, in terms of marketability. The closest thing that we have to Michael Jordan is LeBron James. LeBron is better at certain things than Jordan was. He's certainly had a longer career than Jordan did, Jordan had I believe it was 13-year career. LeBron's on year 18. So definitely, I see why the comparisons are drawn, but I'm going to leave this to you guys to do this. I did my own bracket, and I want you guys to come up with the answers, and I will just break ties if there are any. So, who do you think is the greatest of all time in this matchup between Michael Jordan, LeBron James?
It's hard to argue against MJ. You know, there's certainly something to be said for longevity. With, you know, LeBron is probably going to keep playing and keep playing at a very high level for at least a few more years, it looks like.
LeBron also didn't have to play against the bad boy Pistons.
Well, I've got something to say about that as well.
Are you, really quickly, I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off, Dan, but are you a pilot? Because you look and sound like a pilot right now.
Do I sound like a pilot?
Yeah.
Try out a headset.
So you're basically running on Duncan.
Yeah. Anyways, sorry, continue on with what you were saying.
But what I was saying is MJ also, you know, chose to leave. You know, it's not like he couldn't play anymore. I feel like once he was with the Magic, or was it the Wizards? I don't know, I'm blanking out right now. Wizards. You know, he certainly wasn't quite to the same level, but he still could have played at a high level for a few more years, I think, and I don't think anyone would really dispute that. But he wanted to be done. He lost his passion for the game, it seems. So, you know, while that favors LeBron a little bit, the longevity, you know, every time he went to the finals, he won, and he, you know, dominated. Most of his opponents didn't get to Game 7 ever. You know, LeBron's been to the finals more times, but has lost, you know, a significant number of those. And now some of those were ridiculous teams, like the most recent Warriors teams we've seen. But, you know, Jordan wasn't up against slouches either. So,
I mean, and you can make the argument that some of those finals appearances for LeBron, he had Udonis Haslem, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh. He had Shaq for one of them. So he had a great cast of characters. Don't let LeBron fill your mind with the nonsense that he, quote-unquote, never had a team of superstars that he was with. And correct me if I'm wrong, but he went to the finals in Miami and lost to the Mavericks with that cast of superstars. Am I correct?
Yes, and that's not something to discount at all, because, yeah, he absolutely did have his own super team at, especially with the Heat. You know, arguably some of the time with the Cavs. You know, it wasn't to the same level as the Warriors with you know, adding Durant. That was just ridiculous, and, you know, Durant just purely ring chasing. But snake. But he definitely had a quote-unquote super team, and, you know, they got overpowered by the will of Dirk. So,
yeah, and that was a good team. And the Warriors that the Cavaliers beat, one of the greatest teams in the history of basketball, obviously, tremendous. They were what 73-9? Was that the record? Insane. But they make it sound like Jordan, when he was in his finals, that he played against a bunch of nobodies when in fact that's just insanely ridiculous when you look at how good the Jazz were the first year they played them in the finals, and then how much better the Jazz were the second year. So I get that the level of talent today, the game has shifted. It's more friendly for the offense than it was then, and it appears, to me at least, that the amount of talent coming through the NBA is much higher because, you know, the emergence of these basketball camps and AAU programs and stuff like that. You start developing the talents at a much younger age, and it just keeps growing and growing when you get into the NBA. So I get that the talent, in my opinion, is different, but you can only play against what you've got. Like, it's not like Jordan could just be like, you know what, I'm going to wait till 03 when this LeBron cat is in the NBA, and I'll play him then. No, he has to play who he's got. And that whole argument of Jordan needed Pippen to win a ring. Jordan was on like the worst team in basketball history when he came into the NBA. The team was ridiculously bad. They were a joke. And if you watch The Last Dance, you saw just how bad that team actually was before he got there, and he immediately showed improvement. However, LeBron did the same thing to the Cavaliers. Cavaliers were a really bad team. LeBron James comes in. The team almost immediately turns around. And he almost takes the Cavaliers to the finals before Dwight Howard and the Magic crush his dreams. So...
And I would say that LeBron James... Hey, it's Chuckles, by the way.
Chuckles!
What's going on?
Oh, not much. What's going on with you?
What is up?
Chilling. Long time no see.
Yeah.
Glad to know everyone's safe.
Yeah, we're pretty safe, yeah. I
Good.
mean, as safe as we can be in this COVID world.
Oh, I understand that. Well, that's good to hear. But back to this, first and foremost, how did you start this bracket with this matchup?